How my brain works. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today is a very, very exciting day because I get to test run something that I have been creating for at least the past month or so, and I'm very looking forward to seeing how it works and if it does what it is that I want it to do. So one of the new projects that I'm going to be working on in the year 2024 is Bird Whistle House. Bird Whistle House is my dark academia fantasy novel that I have been brainstorming for ages. This quarter, my plan is to focus on the characters to start with, because it's from my understanding that in dark academia novels, character is very, very important alongside the plot. So I need these characters to be as well developed as they can possibly be. I need their motivation, I need their goals, I need their wants and their needs, I need the conflict that they have, because that conflict is going to affect the plot, it's going to affect other characters and how those characters are going to affect their own goals and the plot itself. It's a lot of work that I need to do, especially with the stupid way that I am planning on writing this novel. Why did I decide to write this novel this way? Plotting in detail, characters included, is not a strength of mine. It is not something that I do. I will very vaguely plot and my brain will fill in the gaps as I write. And then with each subsequent draft that I do, those gaps get filled in a bit more, things become clearer, things get shuffled around, changed depending on how well I wrote the plot. It's not going to work for Bird Whistle House. It's the same with the characters. I very basically plan my characters. I will write the story. That way, I haven't predetermined how a character is going to act in a single situation. That will just come to me in the moment based on what I believe the character will do at that time. And then that will grow and change. And that's how I develop my characters. They get developed over multiple drafts rather than at the beginning before I start the first draft. The characters need to be developed because of how intricate the character's goals and arc is going to be relevant to the plot. I need both really solid, so everybody's actions and therefore what happens in the plot makes sense. Have you guys watched Arcane? If you haven't watched Arcane, go and watch Arcane. Okay, there is no excuse for you not to have watched it. It is one of the best shows I have watched in my entire life. The plot and the characterization in that show is impeccable. It is amazing. It is what I could only hope to achieve as a person by myself and not with a room full of writers all bouncing off each other to create up such a masterpiece. I still rage over how they ended the first series of that show. Go watch Arcane. Seriously, you will not regret it. Anyway, there is a YouTuber by the name of Schnee who does these really great introspective videos into different elements of Arcane. I'll leave a link down below to the specific video that I used in order to create what it was I created, which was 50 lessons from the writers of Arcane on how to write characters, how to write plot. I watched this video and I took it on a piece of notepaper very, very seriously, because how they created the characters in Arcane is how I want to create the characters in Bird Whistle House. There is such depth. There are such great character arcs. Everything is linked together. That's what I want. That's what I need. All of these different stories with all of these different points of view. From this list of tips that they gave on how they created their characters, and with some other things that I use myself when I create my very basic characters, I created what I am dubbing my character toolbox, which looks a little bit like this. So this has on it everything that I would like to know about my character in order to give them as much depth as I possibly can, bar an entire biography, which I'm not writing by hand. That's going to be written on something else. This is going to have everything that I want for my characters on it. So apart from their name, obviously, it's got their archetype, their virtues and vices, which is something I use for their personality, positive and negative traits, something really, really simple, easy, something every character should have, right? And then we've got our goals section here. So we've got their want, their need, obviously very typical character. We've got the lie that they believe, their incorrect world thinking, and we've got their ghost, which is the event that caused the lie. Then moving across, we've got their external goal, motivation and conflict, and their internal goal, motivation and conflict. It's important to note that the internal and external goals should clash. That creates conflict. And then we've got this section down here, which is what is called the impossible choice, something to raise the stakes and the tension within the novel. We have their original goal that they had, and then the fight for the original goal turns into the new goal that they have, which will then give them the impossible choice that they need to make. That impossible choice obviously is going to have emotional resonance both to the character, to the plot, to the other characters, to the reader, etc, etc. We've got the chip on their shoulder, we've got the line that they won't cross. Here we've got a little the lows and their highs, how they act when they're happy, how they act when they're sad, making sure that they relate to each other and transition into each other really well. And then we've got why are they the way that they are. I suppose a little bit more in depth into the ghost and the lie that they believe. Today we're going to use this on all 7 of my characters. Oh, there's 7 characters. Oh no. I'm going to use this on all 7 of my characters. And while I'm probably not going to figure out everybody's specific character arc today, and by today I mean the 2 hours I have until I have to go pick up the children from school, we're going to fill in as much as I possibly can and work as much as I can towards the creation of all these characters. I already did some work in the coffee shop, as you saw earlier. I was working on one of the secondary characters, Iris Clark, so this is sort of what it looks like, mostly filled out. We've got her traits up here, her virtues and vices. Virtues and vices is something that I really like to use. Virtues and vices is something I've always used for my characters. It helps with characterization a lot. It's Aristotle's virtues and vices. There's a mean, a deficiency, and an excess. So the mean, the average, the positive trait that they have, for example, for Iris, is proper ambition. If she goes into excess or deficiency of that ambition, it turns into a negative. So if there's an excess of ambition, it's like really overly ambitious to a point where you know you need to stop. And if there's a deficiency, obviously, then it is unambitious. So depending on whether she is feeling yay or feeling nay, she'll have an excess of either of those. And the negative side of that trait is what is going to cause more issues and conflict and stakes for herself, for the other characters, for the plot, down the line. So we've got that for Iris. The next one I'm going to do is Dinah, who is the main character. She is the POV who we follow throughout the story. I have very basically started hers. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my notes that I have for Bird Whistle House. They are in 4 different places. Don't ask me why they're in 4 different places, they just are. I open a random something when I want to make a note on Bird Whistle House, and I'll write it there. Not even in the same place, it's just in 4 random places. So I have two Google documents for Bird Whistle House. The first one is the first one I started, which is my Bird Whistle House free write page, which was supposed to be everything that I thought of for Bird Whistle House would just get brain dumped onto this Google Doc. This is like 17 pages long. It's got powers on there. It's got characters' ages and birthdays on there. It's got information about Bird Whistle House as a whole, how it works as a boarding school, term dates. It's got all of the different ideas I had that I wanted to do for Bird Whistle House, and little notes on characters. So I have character arc stuff within this entire 17-page document. The next thing I have is the Bird Whistle House plot. Now you would think there wouldn't be any character stuff in with this plot. For some reason, I started writing character notes and plot ideas at the bottom of this as well. And then I've got my Scrivener doc. The Scrivener doc, obviously, where I started organising all of the information from the Google Docs into the Scrivener doc, which has changed from me having the Save the Cat beats set up and everything worked out as a multi-POV to dumping that and just having some random notes in the manuscript for different scenes that I would like, and there's a few paragraphs of things I've come up with, and then random scenes, which has random scenes and character arc stuff in it, and notes that every character story needs to link to certain parts of the main plot and certain character choices, actions and behaviours, while also answering questions the readers had regarding those characters in those moments, and more character notes, and then actual character snapshots with some character information in it. And then I've also been using Butterdocs, which I heard about and then wanted to try because you can try it free for a year. And so I've got tons and tons of notes and part biographies. I shouldn't have installed that later. I should have installed that update now. Damn. And even more character notes, because my plan was to do Bird Whistle House in Butterdocs to try Butterdocs. I'm still writing it in 4 different places. So we're going to move on to Dinah. I'm going to stop the British rambling now. This is getting out of hand. I want to talk for hours about this. We're going to move on to Dinah with the hope that once all of these toolboxes are finished, I can then start properly outlining their arc throughout the book using the main beats of the Save the Cat outline. I don't even know if this is the right way to go about doing this, to be fair. Should I be working on character first instead of sorting the plot out? I don't know, but this is the way that I feel that is going to work best for now, so that is what I'm going to do. This is actually a lot harder than I assumed it would be, mostly because I had such an easy time, easy-ish, doing Iris, but I guess that just means that Iris is a little more fleshed out in my head regarding her backstory than Dinah is, which is bad because Dinah is the main character. Oops. I've done most of it. She's got her virtues and vices, she's got her traits, she's got her wants and her motivation and conflict. sort of. I think they work, but I'm going to have to workshop to try and find the actual proper conflict that she's having in regards to everything. External goal and conflict, fine, that works. Her external goal that we see throughout the book is her wanting to end the conflict that she's having, as in within Birdwhistle House there is the student council. The student council are sort of like the wardens, and Birdwhistle House is the prison for a magical community, and her goal is to end the conflict because she thinks by ending the conflict she'll feel accepted and valuable and important to the people around her, because that is a feeling that she desperately craves. Her fear of failing is sort of holding her back from doing what it is that she thinks she needs to do in order to end that conflict. Fine, done. Her internal conflict, which is to be accepted and valuable and needed. Her motivation for that is, I don't quite know what the conflict to that is going to be. I've written down that she doesn't want to get too close to people because of her past, because of how her family treated her. She's sort of got this, I suppose that would be her lie though. She feels that if she gets too close, they can hurt her, and she doesn't want to be hurt again. Also, her lie is, if I don't fit in, something is wrong with me. But if I get too close to people, they're going to hurt me. I feel there's a better lie that fits. Damn it. Talking out loud fixes things, does it not? I don't remember what I just said. Oh. If too close, will get. I suppose I can do both. She's always trying to fit in because she feels like fitting in is going to make her happy. I guess that does work then if I sort of adjust her lie to being, if I get too close I'll get hurt, because that way they're linked together to cause even more. I don't know how that's going to cause physical conflict, but it can certainly cause some arguments regarding trust now, can't it? That's fine. I have why she is the way that she is. The thing I'm having trouble with articulating in a meaningful way is her original goal, her new goal, and the impossible choice that she has to make. Her impossible choice, of course, needs to be related to the plot, which means I'm going to have to go back and look at my actual plot and all of the things I have in all of the places to figure out a place where her impossible choice can happen, and then decide what her impossible choice is going to be in regards to what is currently happening with the plot. Where does her impossible choice make the most sense? That the choice she makes pushes the plot into the direction it is headed. See, this is the thing with Dinah, actually. That's what I'm having trouble with. I figured it out. Her external and internal goal don't really conflict with each other as much as, say, Iris's does. Her external goal of wanting to end the conflict and her internal goal of being accepted sort of go hand in hand. She wants to end the conflict to feel accepted. They can conflict in some way at some point, but now it's just trying to figure out how to make them conflict in such a way that it gives her the choice of, she can either be accepted, I suppose, in some way, thinking out loud, something could happen and she's left with a choice to let someone else do the thing instead of her, so they will effectively end the conflict, and she knows that will go right, or she can try and do it herself with the knowledge that it potentially could go wrong, but she wants to do it in order to feel accepted if she happens to win. And if she wins, that could lead to one thing. And oh, okay, no, I need to write down when I start talking because I need to remember what that was. Oh, let someone else. Hang on. Else is a 4-letter word. It is very phonetically spelled. Else. Tell me why I just wrote E-S-L-E. Let someone else win. I'll know what I mean. Or, it's going to sound stupid, but do it herself and potentially lose. Lose is 1 O. I did not just try and add 2 to write the word loose. This is why I don't handwrite anything. Okay, I can sort of make that work. I mean, if it's not as in-depth if I need it now, I can always work on what I've got written here as I work on the plot to really put everything in perspective. But as long as I've got a jumping off starting point to how everything needs to work. Lovely, lovely. Right, who's next? Astoria. Oh. It's lunchtime, but do I have lunch? No, I don't. Am I going to eat lunch? No, I'm not. Do I have snacks? This will be my lunch. Just thought of a scene that I want to include in the story. Need to write it down immediately so I don't forget the seed, because it's a character seed. Oh, I'm working on a story at the moment. No, let's write first and then talk. Okay, I'm working on a story at the moment, and again, she's really difficult because I can't have everyone's external goals be regarding something to do with the plot, because that would be quite boring. So I need to delve into everybody's personal backstory to figure out what it is that they externally want. And for Astoria, which is difficult, her external goal is to get her parents' approval because of an incident that happened when she was younger, favoritism over another sibling. Her parents have always been a bit dismissive of her. She knows she's not the favoured child, so she wants to get her parents' approval, and she believes that she needs to be perfect if she wants to be loved, because her parents only ever favoured perfectionism. So her external goal is to get her parents' approval. The motivation for that is to get her personal needs met, which is obviously love, acceptance. There's a lot of themes around acceptance and love. I think what's going on now is everybody sort of wants the same thing. They've all got a different reason for wanting the same thing, and they've all got a different idea of how to get that thing, which I think, I don't know if that's just me struggling to think of actual different goals and motivations, but I think it's quite interesting to see how everyone's past and backstory affect how they go about getting the same thing. Because I guess an underlying theme of the book is acceptance. Fine, it works. I'm not going to question it. I don't know what the conflict is going to be. The goal is to get her parents' approval. The motivation is because she wants to get her parents' approval, because she wants to get her needs met. But I don't know what the but is. What is the conflict to her getting her parents' approval? Because we don't really see Astoria's parents in the story, so there's something that's got to be happening with plot and character that is sort of preventing her from doing what she needs to do to gain her parents' approval. I mean, I suppose the conflict could be they're not in close proximity. No, that's a stupid conflict. It's trying to figure out that part of the conflict is what I'm going to find difficult. And her physical want and need, I also need to work on as well. I do have her chip on her shoulder though. Hearing criticism of her own choices is a very big chip on her shoulder because she has past trauma from hearing it constantly from her parents. Her internal goal is to resolve her guilt over an incident that happened when she was younger. And she knows she needs to be truthful and open with her friends in order to resolve said guilt, but she is scared that they will blame her and abandon her if she reveals the truth. So I have that whole internal goal sorted out. I think with Astoria, she's quite a closed-off character. She's quite a perfectionist, so she's going to seem like the mean girl, but she is really protective and caring of her friends because of past incidents. She doesn't want bad things to happen to them because she's not her best. Her external conflict should somehow be related to the plot. I don't know how that's gonna conflict with her getting her parents' approval unless it's something really stupid like her... No, that would work. Her responsibilities that she has as a student council member in regards to she's protecting the school from, you know, the magic. Her responsibilities. Yeah, okay, her responsibilities. Right, okay, right. So that is... Like, she's tired. She misses homework. This, that, and the other. Okay. To get her parents' approval. And then her impossible choice could be something like choosing between doing this thing that she needs to do or doing this thing her parents want to do, which she thinks will get their approval, and she has to choose between the two. Okay, I like talking out loud. Talking out loud helps. Stop talking now to write things down. Does she do this thing for her friends? Or does she do this thing for her parents? And if she does this thing for her friends, that could affect the plot and her own personal goal and motivation in one way. But if she chooses her parents, it could affect the plot and her relationship with her friends in one way, which will then go down. See? Yeah, okay. I don't know what to put. It's fine. No, just stop talking and write things down. Related to... possible plot point, subplot, conflict just popped into my head. Where is the related plot written? Because what just popped into my head relates to an already current plot point. Not a very big plot point, sort of like it's just going to be mentioned or revealed plot point that sort of helped push things in a certain direction. And I want to at least write it in the same place as this is. I don't know where I wrote it though. I'm just going to write it down and then I will... And if it's repeat information, it's repeat information. But would that cause a plot? And I guess that would make quite an interesting character foil. One of the others, I guess if I turn this whole thing into themes of doing things for the right or wrong reason, where I was talking about everyone sort of wants to be accepted and they've all got different reasons for it, and their different reasons drive the different ways they go about being accepted. Sort of like that. So maybe something we can explore in the book is the different ways people will go about getting what they want, or discovering what is really most important to them. Okay, does what I wrote just make sense? That's spelt incorrectly for a start. That is also spelt incorrectly for a second. Okay, so I've written it down. I feel like it might, I say it might cause a plot hole, like I've already thought of the plot. I haven't. It's not an angle that I have thought about in regards to the plot, and it may cause issue with how I want the plot to go, because it feels like if her parents wanted her to do something, they'd be sort of implying that throughout her entire, or okay, I'm gonna ruminate on this and think and write stuff down, because I can't do that and chat at the same time. But I feel like I've just found a very interesting character foil to explore in regards to also the plot and backstory. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about what I was originally talking about, which I don't remember what it was, but we'll figure it out. So, talking out loud helps me figure stuff out, okay? I'm really sorry that you are at the other end of it, but think of this as a first-hand look into how my brain operates, okay? It also doesn't really work if I talk out loud. I have to pretend I'm physically talking to a person. Right now, you are that person, so thank you for the assistance. I truly appreciate it. The line they won't cross is going to be very difficult for me to figure out for all of the characters, because, and I say this with the utmost love, and my lack of really sitting down and thinking about it, all of this information that I've gotten from Arcane, obviously it's a fantasy show. I feel like there's always so much higher stakes in fantasy than there is in other literature, just because of how grand you can get with fantasy. That's not to say there's not stakes and tension in other genres, of course, but you know, the end of the world feels like a massive stake, whereas am I going to get the girl, it doesn't quite feel as dramatic and big. So obviously all of the examples that were given in the video, still fantastic examples. A lot of them are in relation to fantasy world building on a massively grand scale. And it's very difficult for me to sort of try and apply something which I understand and see examples from in such a fantastical way into something that is quite mundane. Despite the fact this is a dark academia fantasy novel, most of it takes place just in normal school with magical, mysterious hauntings that are going on. And I'm debating how much time to spend in the magical portion of the school, the magical world that they've sort of shut off and is acting as a prison, in order to explore the magical things. So obviously everyone has to have more of a mundane line they won't cross. Now, if you're going to a fantasy setting, a line that you won't cross might be, my line that I won't cross is killing somebody. That's my line. I'll beat them mostly to death. I will not kill them. The point of the line they won't cross is, in my head, is to push the character so far to this line. Get as close to this line as you possibly can get. And then deal with the fallout and the repercussions when they won't cross that line, even if it is desperately needed. It's a really difficult thing to think of in mundane terms. Like, what is the line they won't cross? I won't kill this person. Great. That's not really something everyday people have to think about or worry about, right? So that's going to be difficult to think of for everybody. And again, I'm probably going to have to go through and look at all of the plot that I currently have and try and figure out what sort of is happening within these different scenes I've got placed in all of these different beats, and think about if there is a line somewhere someone needs to cross it but doesn't cross it, and then something else happens, or what is their point of no return. Which I might just have to talk to myself out loud about. But the line they won't cross, I think, needs to be related to their goals and their conflict that they're having, because sort of the line they won't cross sort of will feed into the impossible choice they have to make. This is why I don't do this normally. There's so much work involved, so much thinking that I have to do, and if I think too much, my mind will wander to other stuff and I will get distracted. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to work on a character until I have too much pause working on that character, in which that's a sign I can wander into something else and go to another character and start again with a new focus, and keep doing that until I get most of all of these filled out. Oh, the things I have to do. I say that, but it is actually 2:25. I didn't realise how fast those 2 hours actually went. I do need to start getting ready to leave to pick up the kids. Whew! I haven't done a lot of work at all, really. A lot of thinking, I guess, which is helpful, but not a lot of work. But I suppose thinking is most of the work. I have completed most of Dinah, most of Iris. I will quickly finish off the goals for Astoria, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the other 5 characters that I have, who have varying degree amounts of backstory. So I'm probably going to have to think of actual backstory before I can write anything in their toolbox. Lovely jubbly. And you know what, I've also just realised I've not actually been tracking my time spent on this project. It's all okay. It's mostly all okay. So that is it from me for now. Let me know in the comments below how you go about creating your character arcs, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.